In this episode, we are going to work on our rather unconventional storage system, making use of some pretty cool mechanics. But before we can tackle such a project, we need materials and farming with it. Last weekend, I spent some time on stream with the Fangills, where I tested the evolving enchantment, and things went pretty wild. Oh yeah. This is so silly. Mother off, mother beam. Oh, yoga. That looks a bit intense. This definitely looks a bit intense, and oh. Ay. What is going on? This mod was made by Brian, one of my Patreons, as a for fun project, and I was honestly expecting some quality of life, not a bad fuel drilling machine of doom. But I'm not complaining. Thanks to this awesome pickaxe, I almost have enough materials to work on my next project. And trust me, we really need the help. Because this is what I have going on. Which, don't get me wrong, I love this design. It took me quite a while to decide how exactly I wanted to do it, and I really love it. But there is one of the design choices that it's a bit questionable. So essentially, I'm using these sophisticated barrels as the core of the storage system. So instead of using a bajillion bowls, then we could have a bunch of bowls here and access them with the stockkeeper. Instead of that, I thought, why not use these sophisticated barrels? Because each one of these can hold a lot of items. Which is kind of true, but also with a caveat. There is a lot of space in this barrel. Why not have each one of these slots be pretty much infinite? So we only need one single slot for each different item in the storage system. So if we have smooth stone, we only need one slot for smooth stone. And the only caveat is that I was testing with the netherite barrels, which they aren't that expensive. So basically, you have to upgrade them with a single ingot from a diamond one. So it's quite doable. They choose these upgrades. So I thought with diamond upgrades it would be enough, but you can only have 2 of them. And with 2 you get 16,000 items, which sounds like a lot. For most of the items, 16,000, it's going to be way more than enough. But for other things like stones and woods and whatnot, for building materials, 16,000 isn't that much. You can quickly farm through that amount easily. The problem is that to upgrade them to netherite, then it starts to become massively expensive. And you can even upgrade them again. So with this one, I assume it's pretty much infinite. It multiplies by 33 millions. But yeah, this is obviously massively expensive. Even then, these are 32 and this is 16. So I imagine 2 of the 30. I guess we could try it really quickly. I was going to say, I imagine a couple of them should be plenty. So we can test this one. 65,000. So even then, it's not that infinite with 2 of them. What I don't like is that you cannot place like 3 or 4. Maybe I end up changing the config file so it allows more of them. Because I find this massively overkill. Like, the price I found it massively overkill. I think the price of one of those is already plenty. If you tell me this is the price for an infinite stack upgrade, I will say that's fair. Anyway, that doesn't matter right now. But that's the idea. Having each one of these slots to become pretty much infinite, and just having one single slot for each different item. I want it that way because I want to be able to access my storage directly, and especially I wanted to use these limited barrels because you can access the item through this front panel, which I think is quite cool. I quite like it. So I was thinking having here the most used items and inside here having the massive vault. One thing that I want to do anyway is having toolboxes. So in this section, I'm still going to place the toolbox storage system I did some weeks or months ago. The high accessibility one. I'm still going to do that because I really think it's really useful. So that's something I'm going to do there anyway. But those toolboxes are going to be refueled by this storage system. So this storage system is basically the brains of the entire logistics. And speaking of brains, it needs sorting on all of that stuff, so the main stuff is pretty much the same as having balls. You have a stock keeper with this stock ticker and stuff. This barrel is going to be the output. So if you request items, we are going to keep them here. And this is to throw items into the storage system. It's not connected right now, but eventually it will be connected. I'm not too concerned about this section especially. What I'm concerned about is this section. So after a lot of testing, I figured out you can actually move packages with a chute. It's the only way you can move packages separately. So I tried to move them in this way with funnels, and it was impossible with funnels. With funnels, I was only able to move them if there is a belt. And not sure why that is, I guess that's how it works. But with chutes it works. Both extracting as well as inputting packages, it works with chutes. So the idea is that we are inputting the packages through this chute for the top line and through this chute for the bottom line. And that leaves the issue that how are we going to extract packages? So extracting them, I find out that you can use a mechanical arm. So we can place a mechanical arm here in the middle or something. And if there is a package on one of those, it's going to pick it up. So that's how we are going to extract them. We're doing this basically so we can transport the packages through contraption. Because yes, this looks like a lot, but this is pretty much the fastest way of doing logistics, as well as the most lag-friendly, because this is just a single contraption. It's not going to have to render belts and whatnot. The other thing is for sorting. This for sorting stuff is crazy amazing. So what we can do is having those chutes with an address. So imagine this one is the redstone barrel. We can have the redstone address here. And so long as there is an address on each one of those, if there is a redstone package, it's not going to go anywhere except for this one. And it doesn't need to go through all of the chutes. Like if we had some belts, it will have to go through all of those chutes before it reaches the correct one. This way, the second it gets inside the contraption, it's going to instantly be outputted. But that's how we're filtering those. And if you notice, we have another section. So I thought, okay, that's fine for packages, but why if we want to input items directly for some reason? They need to reach the barrels. They cannot reach the packager, because if we throw items in the packager, that's no use for us, because we're going to store the packages instead of the actual items. So I pretty much used the same setup to extract items with this funnel, which came quite handy. And here I just extended a few more and added some funnels underneath. So that covers both sides. By the way, this works actually. The bottom funnels, if you point them upwards, they are going to shoot the item not with a lot of force, but with enough momentum that the top one can pick it up. So that actually works quite well. And you can avoid having to use a chute with an encased funnel, stuff like that. But basically it's the same for top and bottom. This is going to input the items directly in case we have an iron farm that cannot batch stuff for some reason, or in case of this thing. So this thing is why I was testing 1,000 different stuff. I wanted to extract the items as fast as possible, and I had 2 different ideas. So I want to have a barrel, which I think it's a massive overkill. I'm going to use a normal one. This is to empty your inventory, and this one is to extract from backpacks. So you come here, you place your backpack, and it's going to extract all of its contents into the system. So what I was thinking is, of course, we could use packages and this will extract items much faster. But then I thought, okay, which address is it going to go to? Because imagine I'm dumping all of this. Okay, this one, maybe it goes to the redstone barrel. But smooth stone, it will go to the building materials, for example. So how do we sort those out? The easy answer is don't use packages, just use a funnel. In fact, you can use this setup. In case you didn't know, if you spam redstone on a funnel, every time it unlocks, it's going to throw one item or one stack, basically. If it's normal, if it doesn't have any redstone signals, you shoot an item, but it takes a bit of time to throw the next stack. This way it doesn't. This way every time it unlocks, every time it throws a stack. So this way you can spam one item out, and that's pretty much the solution. But the other solution that I thought could be funny case, why not having a sorting system? Obviously this will then work because we need to unpack the items, but imagine we have an unpacking section. This will extract items directly from the contraption. It will go here, it will pack them, and it will send the packages directly to the next contraption. So the idea is to have one of these packages for each one of these barrels. So we will need one of these lines for each one of those barrels as a sorting system. So that will work. It's kind of similar to vanilla, where you have a filter for each one of your chests. But this is slow. Like, this is going to be as fast as this build, as fast as this funnel and whatnot. So we have to use this system anyway. And it's quite big. Like, to be honest, this is quite massive. If you have to do this 40 times, it's quite a lot. So I thought, okay, maybe vertically. The issue with this one, obviously, is that it's slow again. This chute is not going to be particularly fast, so we need a buffer. So that's why I make this section, which is pretty much the same, but with this funnel, so it spams items much faster than a chute. Oh, but yeah, it spams them into the barrel as a buffer, and the packager is just taking the items from the barrel and spamming the packages downwards. And this should work quite well. Like, if I had to choose one of the options, I'm going to choose this one. So what's the issue? Why I'm hesitant to do this? We can just use this system. Like, the system is already here, and this is going to be as fast as this one. If we have this already, why double down on this idea? So that's what I'm kind of on right now. I'm not sure. Hooking the rest is easy. I'm just not sure how to proceed with this conundrum. Because on one side, I want to cover as much possibilities as I can. But as also, this is quite an investment. And this is going to be quite a lot to set up. So I need to justify making such a build, basically. I think the biggest advantage will be if you have a farm that is producing more than one item from different categories. Like if it's producing several items from different categories. I think it will be relevant to just a sorting system, but in my head, if we just unpack those items before they reach the storage system, we can just use this instead and that will be fine. So I'm kind of there thinking, which system I want to do? Do I want to have this one and have the 3 possibilities? Or just those 2 and that's more than enough? I don't know, let me know in the comments. Is there any use for this? Like, is there an initiated use case where I could take advantage of having a sorting system outside of what we already have? I'm already quite interested because, like I said, I don't mind spending a lot of materials and time if we can massively bulletproof this. But that's pretty much it. I still have to build the toolboxes, but I have an idea how I want to improve that design, making it much more simple. But of course we need a firm bunch of materials, like a lot of materials. So before I continue with this design, let's go back to the survival wall and let's go farm some materials. So I went to the nether with Batman and we started farming for some netherite. Also, for some reason, the Figura models look hilarious on the replay mod. But then the worst happened. Boredom. I went and finished the design, and you might be thinking, but Patsy, didn't you just say you weren't going to do the sorting system yet? Well, kind of yes, but I wanted to build it, and I built it in a way that I don't have to import it with the rest of the schematic. But this is future Batsy's problem, so we don't like future Batsy anyway. Toolboxes though, I figured out a cool way of dealing with this. So instead of having several contraptions and cycling through them, I thought we could make use of these lamps, the rose quartz lamps. This one, if you power one of those, or if you power several at the same time, the rest turn off. So I thought, if all we need is to have one single contraption active, instead of cycling them, having deployers and all of that stuff, why not just those and have them laid out like so? And we don't need to deal with timings and all of that stuff. Other than that, it's basically the same as it was before, so we are going to use 𝐋𝐢𝐬s. We're going to place 4 𝐋𝐢𝐬s on top, 4 𝐋𝐿𝐬s at the bottom, and that should take care of all of the items. Of course, it's only going to refuel the current active contraption, so that's still a limitation, but there's nothing we can do about that, to be honest. I still added the overflow just in case. I'm not sure I'm ever going to use this, but this is the overflow. It's going to go back into this belt, and from this belt it will go back as items into the storage system. That's relevant because we are going to place addresses for all of those, because we have those addresses. If they go back as address set1 box 2, it's not going to do anything here. It's going to get stuck. So we are going to unpack them and just place them as items. Something else I did added this pulse timer at the lowest duration, so it spams the funnels. I did this because I don't want to be adding a pulse timer on each section, so we are going to add them here. We are also going to add them here. I think the rest of links, they are more versatile. Because the timer needs to be in this position, the rest of link not only emits the signal in both ways, you can also place them here and that works fine, or place them underneath and stuff like that. So, because we're going to use this on several locations, I think I'd rather have it this way. And also, we can disable all of them at the same time. Also, excuse me for my voice, I have been sick for weeks already, and I'm getting better, but it's still a bit noticeable when I speak that my voice is not doing so good. But yeah, it's basically the same section I showed before, with the barrel as the buffer, with this as spamming the items, and it goes back into the contraption, into the main contraption. And yeah, if we don't want this section, we can not import it or just sever this connection. That should be fine. Something I considered, because for now the best use case I could find was if we have packages with a various assortment of items and they have to be unpacked, sorted out, unpacked again. I thought I'll add this as the input section because we need to unpack all of those items. So I'm thinking frog ports are the way to go, because if I'm exporting items from very far away, I'm likely going to use the chains. I think those are the fastest ways to cover long distances. I think so, at least for now. I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to leave the frog ports here, and I'm going to have like chains over here, and maybe I'm also going to have a belt or something here, because we can have both, so that should be fine. From these frog ports, it goes into this bolt after it gets unpacked, and from here it goes upwards, and this is part of the same contraption. This is going to be the buffer for this contraption, which is likely an overkill. This is a lot of storage, but to be honest, if this is going to handle several farms and stuff, I think why not? Like, we're at the point that overkill, it's the concept of the spin, basically. I feel like overkill is the second nature of the spin, so yeah. Why not have massive overkill everywhere? And this section, it's going to need to have another ticker. So we're going to have another one of those and another link here, because we need to spam those as well. And in case you're wondering, is this even going to work out if it shoots them upwards? With this thingy, to be honest, I don't know. I have no idea. If going upwards vertically, it's also going to work. I have no idea, but there is just one way to find out. But yeah, this is basically the current situation. I'm going to keep farming materials, especially a lot of leather now that I think about it. But yeah, let's go export it into survival, shall we? Ta-da! No, that's it, seriously. Didn't you just say you weren't going to import the sorting system? Well, yes, kind of yes, but it's fine. It's not even the worst issue, because kind of farm all of the materials and build it, but none of the panels or stuff and properly set up. So I basically have filters for these 5 barrels. This won't have addresses and have filters on them. Everything else has nothing. There is no filter set up, and all of those toolboxes are pretty much empty. It's fine. That's future Spaz's problems. I swear to God, past Spaz is really mean. Past Spaz is just dumb. Also, another issue is that this thing is kind of massive. We are using like half of it and we don't even have like walls or stuff like that. So yeah, we kind of want to move to the water because there is not much room here. I want to add like an processing section, and I want to add a tap farm so we get all the ores from that one. Other than that, I think this is great, solid progress. I'm quite happy with it. I'm probably going to stream tomorrow Sunday and basically work on all of those filters if you want to hang out with me. But other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one. Bye bye!